Hi, so I just wanted to talk a little bit about Gary Taubes' work, and again, this isn't anything personal at all. I just want to just provide some information. We can just look at objective facts here with these concepts, and the thing with the Gary Taubes' work in the last few years is he's become quite popular, especially with like the paleo crowd, the low carb type people. And he's generated some sort of a popularity on the idea that he, is questioning the age-old ideas around obesity, and nothing seems to be working. And the common ideas on that must be false premises, and we need to ask deeper questions, and that sort of thing. And he's really built a career on that. And personally, I think that most of his ideas are just rubbish, and it can easily refute them. For example, it's one of the main premises is that the idea that it's not really fat that makes you fat. It's been the carbs all along, and we've tried the low-fat diets, and they fall short, and people don't lose any weight, and they're miserable, and they're starving, and they just plain don't work. Okay, now the easy way to refute that, okay, very simple, is to look at, for example, Asian societies that live on starch primarily. And to boot, it's white rice, which I do not endorse. But even in places like rural Asia, the Chinese, the rural Chinese, the rural Japanese, the Okinawans, many people from different parts of the world that live on over 75% carbohydrate and under 20% fat. They are always thin societies, plain and simple. Okay, you just need to look in the direction of Asia and ask yourself, how come these people are so thin, eating white rice? Okay, a lot of them are near vegetarian, don't eat much meat at all. They probably have about 80% carbs, about 10% protein, and about 10% fat. Okay, and these people are not suffering from diabetes. That's another theory that he has floating around, that all that starch, particularly things like white rice, will send your insulin out of whack, and you're a candidate for diabetes. Okay, that is also false. This begins to happen. And there's tons of evidence to prove that when you have the processed carbs at the same time as fat, okay, both at the same time. And if you have sugar and processed carbs and fat, then it becomes problematic. But when you drop the fat under 20%, societies that eat that way, even consuming huge amounts of white rice, are just fine. I mean, these societies have white rice for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Okay, this is a fact, not something I'm making up. And they are lean, they are healthy, they have very low rates of heart disease, very low rates of diabetes, and diabetes has been reversed over and over on programs that are high carb, low fat. Like if you look at the work of Neil Barnard or Dr. Ornish, they've published a lot of work proving that a low-fat diet, low-fat under 20%, really under 10%, with high carbs, even if the carbs are not the highest quality, the low glycemic carbs, still get wonderful results. Okay, so there's so much evidence to prove contrary around the idea that low-carb diets prove better results, and that the high carb, low fat has been disastrous. And another thing to ask yourself whenever you hear that is that when he keeps referring to the low fat the low fat diets, people tried it and it didn't work. Okay, that is another thing that just simply is not true. Okay, the low fat diets are the ones that started around the 70s with Pritikin, and then McDougall, and then Ornish, and people like that. And these diets were about 80% carbohydrates, 10% protein, 10% fat. Are you to tell me that, for example, in America, the whole nation really tried to eat 10% fat, and became near vegetarians? Because with the pritikin diet, that's what ultimately that was. It was a diet of having about 3.5 ounces of meat about every other day. Okay, are you telling me the whole U.S. of A tried that? Of course not. Of course not. Okay, this is where you need to ask deeper questions. Okay, when he refers to a low-fat diet, he's referring to studies where they ate about 30% of about 30% fat, not about 9 to 10%. So that is also just simply not true, folks. For example, when people do these low-fat diets, and they do them like in these different centers or programs, or they commit to 3 weeks, and they're all solidly eating, you know, the way it's supposed to be on these diets, the people drop weight plain and simple. Okay, and if you don't believe me, you can also look up the Kempner rice diet. Kempner rice diet. It's been around for many, many, many years. I believe in the 40s is when it started out of Duke University. It's a diet of simply rice and fruit. Okay, primarily rice and fruit. And the fat intake is under 15%, probably under 10%. And people have lost weight. It has an amazing reputation. Okay, even before the 70s. And you could look at that, like I said, the Asians, the Kempner rice diet. You know, we could just go on and on with this. So, okay, so I hope this has been helpful. I'm just putting some of these videos out to assist people that are a little confused, because I see so many people are just bogged down in a lot of poor pseudoscience that's out there. Okay, so I hope this has been helpful. Thank you for listening.